July 1st, there were a lot of new laws that went into effect. We're here in Georgia, so I usually focus on Georgia, but sometimes Florida, sometimes California, whatever state that has a lot going on. But right now, today, we're going to talk about Georgia. Whatever state you're in, make sure you find out what laws are in effect. So let's start with Georgia. House Bill 286, which will block local governments from significantly cutting their law enforcement budgets. So you know what everyone was screaming all summer at these protests?
Defund the police.
Yep.
Now they just got more funding.
So what they're implementing now is local governments will not be able to significantly cut their law enforcement budgets, which a lot of city council and mayors in these cities have decided to do. In Georgia, you will not be able to do that. You will not be able to come in as the mayor of Athens or of somewhere in, I don't know, and say, Marietta, and say, you know what, I'm cutting the budget for police because I want to give more money to whatever. Then you're not going to be able to do that anymore. It prohibits cities and counties from reducing their law enforcement budget by more than 5%. So you can cut it, but not that much, in 1 year or cumulatively across 5 years. No local government in Georgia have followed through with proposals to significantly reduce police funding. So that's not an issue here, what they're saying. But if you were thinking about doing it, and now election time is coming up, 2022 is a really important election year in Georgia. I need y'all to tune in. I need y'all to keep up with Connecting the Dots. Follow us, CTD_ATL on Instagram. We have a Facebook page, innovativeblackstation.com. Make sure you check us out and stay in the loop, because 2022 is going to be huge. So right now, anybody in Georgia that's running, you might as well take that out. You can't be like, I'm running, I'm going to defund the police, because you only could give it 5% decrease. And that, House Bill 317 increases taxes on most short-term lodging rentals in Georgia. So you know what that means. Airbnb.
Oh, Airbnb is about to get hit hard.
Yeah, they got like a fine.
I saw that coming.
But they said you gotta pay it's like a registration fee or something for them now. You gotta have your license renewed and all.
It'll make them equal to what guests at hotels and motels have been paying. Beginning Thursday, most short-term lodging rentals in Georgia will charge their guests a nightly $5 hotel fee. Local excise taxes, which can reach 8%. The cost will be passed on to renters on their bills. I'm going to a hotel. If I got to pay what I was going to pay, I'm going to pay somebody to change my sheets and come in there and fluff my damn pillows. Buy Airbnb. Y'all should have fought harder for this, because now nobody's coming to you. Sorry.
Well, they'll figure out a way. I mean, that's just the same thing like between Bitcoin and fiat currency.
But all these, they getting out of control. Like Airbnb, they getting out of control with their prices. Uber is getting out of control. Like, we about to go back to the regular shit.
They're going to make us pay for what they missed out on last year. That's all. That's what they're trying to do.
No, because they're making laws like this that's causing them to get taxed harder. So if Airbnb is paying an excise tax, man, excise tax ain't no joke. You just put your tax bill like 60%.
House Bill 466 ends on exemption for prospective 17-year-old drivers. Starting July 1st, they will be required to take 30 hours of classroom instruction and 6 hours of on-the-road training that currently require drivers of under 17. The new law requires anyone under 18 to complete the training before an initial Class D license can be issued. So 17-year-olds, you're going to have to take tests. You're going to have to take a driving test. You're going to have to do all that stuff that I did when I was growing up. I don't know what the hell y'all do in Georgia and why the hell you giving people driver's license and they ain't took no damn test, but you can't do it no more.
Mm-hmm. When they got driver's license without taking the test, though? Like, when did that happen?
Like driving school, probably.
Because typically Georgia is the leader of law enforcement. You know
when it comes, but you have to think, most of Georgia is rural and they don't care, and babies drive. Like, everybody that can reach the pedal, you just drive.
I feel offended.
Are you from Georgia?
I'm from the rural area. Yeah, I am from Georgia.
Oh, well, you get it then. How long was it when you started driving?
I've been driving my whole life.
That's what I'm
I
talking
don't
about.
remember not driving. That's why I felt offended. I felt like
That's what I'm
told
talking
the
about.
Baby's driving.
Right.
Right, right. I was a baby. I was a baby.
House Bill 466 ends an exemption for prospective. Okay, we read that already. What's the next one? Senate Bill 221 lets state leaders create leadership committees that can raise campaign money during the legislative session, while lobbyists are trying to gain approval of legislation or stop it from passing. The measure, pushed by Republican majority and opposed by Democrats, also allows the new committees backing Governor Brian Kemp's reelection and those legislative leaders to raise and spend unlimited contributions from donors, essentially circumventing current limits on how much individuals, special interests, and businesses can give to candidates. They just gave a blank check to whatever crooked person wants to pay to get somebody elected.
Sound normal to me.
I mean, I feel, and I'm a little excited because again, this is one of those situations where now the risk is our reward. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of forces us to get behind, at least one person who we can really, really push instead of diluting our efforts across 3 or 4 different people. You know what I'm saying? Because Georgia blue.
Georgia is blue.
It's blue at the moment. We'll find out if it's blue for sure after this governor election.
But it's still red when it comes to state laws because we only have the majority in the federal government. We have John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock that are senators in D.C. So we have 2 voices in D.C. that will stand for us, and us meaning, I guess I have to say Democrats, but I don't even like that. Because right now there's no
Democrats make that wouldn't be the way to really
but
do it.
in the state itself, the Republicans have a majority, and that is the problem because it's not representative of the state
Because people aren't voting properly.
because people aren't voting properly. Next year, 2022, this year, 2021, when city council and when the governor and the local stuff happens, that's when you stop this kind of foolishness, or that's when you get your voice heard.
Well, I don't know that you stop it as much as find a
You
way to
sound
exploit
off
it
on it.
ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You sound off on it. There was also a law regarding citizens' arrest. I gotta look it up. But yeah, I think that election one really.
Citizens arrest. Governor Brian Kemp signed House Bill 479, which was the repeal of Georgia's citizen arrest law. Kemp and state lawmakers have been pushing for the repeal for nearly a year following the death of Ahmaud Arbery. And the shocking video that circulated months later.
I
Kemp
just feel
said
like
during the signing ceremony that he was proud to sign the bill while also protecting every Georgian cut off.
So the law was first enacted in 1863. So you know what that means.
right.
To allow white Georgians to capture slaves who were fleeing to flight in the Union Army. Later, the law was used in the 1900s to justify the lynching of black people without repercussions. HB 479 will remove citizens' arrest from the state law while still allowing employees at businesses, those conducting businesses on someone else's property, security officers, private investigators, and inspectors at truck scales to detain someone they believe has committed a crime. It also allows law enforcement officers to make arrests outside their jurisdictions. So sometimes I'm driving down the street and I see a cop, and cops make me nervous and I'll say, huh,
Yeah,
that's
for
a
my
Marietta police officer, and I'm in Smyrna, so nope.
Right.
They could pull you over too. Don't get too comfortable. And especially around here, because in Atlanta proper, you can have a small amount of marijuana on you and you will get a ticket. But if you're not in Atlanta, which could mean a block, an inch, or a yard.
You're not in Fulton County.
No, it's Atlanta.
So
Well,
this
that's
is
Fulton County,
issuing
ain't it?
tickets. For
Atlanta
marijuana?
is in Fulton County, but there's also a part of Atlanta that's in Cobb County.
Oh, true.
And there's
true,
also
true,
a
true.
part of a small part of
I don't
Atlanta.
think they're issuing
that's
tickets
in.
for
The
marijuana
cab.
now, are they?
Decatur. What?
Yeah, they were. It's decriminalized, which means you're not going to go to jail, but they'll give you a citation.
How can they give you a citation for something you can buy at the gas station?
Because you can't buy
You can buy the flower at the gas station.
THC, but
How they gonna know that in the
Well,
Remember we was
that's
having that
good.
debate. They had a debate for a minute.
Right.
they did have a debate on a previous episode. We talked about this, and they are going to give cops, I know they probably have them by now, but they were going to give them something that you could tell if there's THC. And if they wanted to be bothered and do all that, but I don't see personally as a cop them doing this. But you could get
Right.
the asshole cop that pulls out the whole situation
Right.
and does it right there. It's like, oh no, it just, but
crazy.
you are giving them. See, my thing is, yeah, do what you want to do. Is it right? No, absolutely not. But you're taking your chances when you do it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he pulled me over. See, he's an asshole, so he shouldn't even. No, like, you know what the rules are now. You know what I mean? So you got to know what the rules are. This is something I learned when I was 16 years old. My driver's ed teacher said something to us, and I will never forget it for the rest of my life. Was my driver's ed teacher, I don't know what his name was, I'll tell y'all, but I think his last name was like Ruggiero, Mr. Ruggiero. He was like Arthur Fonzarelli, okay? He had a black leather jacket, he had his hair combed back, and he said, you know what? Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
In any situation, we've been talking about that the whole episode. Just because
Period.
you ignorant
That's
of
the
the situation,
takeaway.
like
That is
not,
the takeaway from this episode. Just because I used to drive to New York all the time, right? In New Jersey, you can make a right on red. And the difference between you being in New York and in New Jersey is just you going through a tunnel or crossing a bridge. It's not that serious. You don't even pay attention. It's just like another part of your neighborhood, you think, in your mind, right? But I can't make a right on red in New York. So as soon as I get to the edge of out of the tunnel, of course they know, the cops know that you're going to come from New Jersey and start making rights on red. So they used to park outside the tunnel and pull everybody over and give you a ticket. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Is it my fault that you didn't know, that you didn't do your research on where you moved to? Is it my fault that you moved from Ohio and in Ohio y'all do whatever the hell y'all want to do and you come to Georgia and you're like, hey, we do this all the time? No. Do your research before test the water before you jump in. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. We just sat here and told y'all what happened effective July 1st. On July 2nd, if you don't know that, that's not anybody's fault but yours. When stuff happens and I sit here and we talk about stuff and one of my friends does exactly what we discussed on this show, I have no sympathy. I'm like, what? You
Should've
knew.
watched the show.
You should have watched, You should have watched the show.
So I feel like that's where your job becomes very important, to make sure that we know.
Yeah.
It's that's your charge, because it'd be like us going to the dentist. I can't pull my own tooth. I don't know what
Right.
goes into that. So I'm trusting your expertise. So thank you. We got to
Yes.
trust your expertise, because I had no clue that I get pulled over for making the right turn.